As soon as I seen Hilly walk up the door and open the door, I knew exactly what was going to happen. And sure as shit, he pushed the door open, the horn sounds, he jumps, loses it, runs back, and all of a sudden here you see John Hill walking up going, what the fuck are you going on now? Let's go.
Oh, man.
I opened the door and I was like, there's a skunk or a possum or something behind that door. I was like, I just squat his foot when I tried to open the door. I couldn't believe it. Then we go in and everything is saran wrapped and tinfoil everywhere. I'd say I was 2 days in the house and I was still sitting on the toilet seats and then firecrackers were going on under my arse and everything. I was like, this house is not safe.
Ladies man, but I'm unhappy now. For courting 6 girls all at once they used me.
Bye-bye baseball!
My mother said it was naughty. But I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very nice.
And the Lolly drops his glove and his dog. The benches are clearing.
Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly is brought to you by CoolBet. If you got a few extra bucks rattling around in your arse pocket, CoolBet Sportsbook will double your first deposit up to $200 when you use the bonus code DUSTUP. Head over to coolbet.com and get in on the fastest growing entertainment sector in the world. That bonus code again is DUSTUP, one word, all capital letters, DUSTUP. Here we are, folks. Episode number 6, a Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly. And we can't wait to get going again. A lot of great feedback. We really appreciate it. 5 great episodes in. And Hilly, we're just keeping on rolling with great guests lined up, and it's been a ton of fun.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about in our game, the list of guests is endless, and the amount of legends and Hall of Famers that we've all played with and played against is just, we can basically pick and choose any player down the list, draw straws, and whoever we come on is going to be a great guest.
Yeah, we're lucky in that sense, and the feedback we're getting from our listeners and also from the ball players in our circle is through all the shutdown and without getting the ball over the last number of months, it's a refreshing take with all the softball podcasts that are out there. So we do want to take this time to give a shout out to some of the other ones that are out there with Two's Talk with Tosh and Dino, Outside the Shoot with Randy Frame and Chris Hopewell, and the guys down on the other side of the world with Beyond the Dugout with Chopper and those guys. It's great to see it. Loving to see the softball community come together. And we're into that time of year again. You know, the time where we all get excited, and this year probably more so than most years, that there's been some good news coming out, and the prospect of playing this summer is looking more and more like a reality when it seemed like a stretch for a long period of time. So in that vein, we've here on the Dust Up podcast partnered with our good buddy Blair Setford from he's the vice president with the ISC, and he's been on the podcast. We're going to get him on here closer to the World Tournament, but we're partnering up with Blair so he can come on here and give us some updates with all things ISC, all things in the game. So we can get that out to our listeners and get any important information updates out to the softball community at large. So Blair, we can't thank you enough for coming on here and agreeing to just share some of the updates from the ISC level. So thanks for agreeing to do this with us.
Lolly, Hilly, great to be here, and opportunity to bring everybody up to date and some real good news for Canadian ball players and fans with the federal government announcement that starting July 5th, for people who have had the 2 vaccinations, and you got to wait a couple weeks for those to take effect, but starting July 5th, you can travel to the U.S. And elsewhere without having to quarantine for those 2 weeks on the way back. So what that does, it opens up the door for Canadian players to get those 2 shots. Really important, can't stress that enough. Get the 2 shots by the end of July. That's going to open up the door for you as a player and for Canadian teams to travel to the ISC World Tournament and come back and not have to worry about that 14-day quarantine.
That is awesome news, Hilly. With everything that's going on from a player's perspective, once we heard that announcement, it really brought some wind back into the sails.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people are getting excited. I think that the kicker was that 2-week quarantine coming back into the country, right? And, whatever province you had to go to, because all of a sudden your 2-week trip or your 1-week trip or whatever it was in the States, you add on 2 weeks to it, 2 more weeks off work, 2 more weeks possibly away from your family. So it made a big difference, right? So that announcement certainly, we're starting to pick up some steam here now, and things seem to be trending in the right direction.
Yeah, and that's and it's coming at a great year, Blair, with the 75th anniversary of the ISC, and saw some things on social media, on Facebook, around the cover of the 75th edition of the ISC guide has come out, and that's become kind of a keepsake for hardcore ISC fast pitch fans. It's a collector's item, and really excited to see that when it comes out. Can you let our listeners know a little bit about that guide and where they can get it?
Yeah, absolutely. It is something that Larry Fisher and his son Nick put together over the winter. Obviously, we weren't going to have a World Tournament guide this year, and with it being the 75th anniversary, wanted to do something special. So this is extra size in terms of being about twice the size and dimensions of the normal guide. It is chock full of history and little tidbits of info about the 75-year history of the ISC and the forerunners, the National Softball Congress, the International Softball League, all the way back to 1947. Game 1, the losing pitcher, believe it or not, in the very first game, Eddie Painter, go on to be the king in his court.
Wow.
So that's the kind of info that you'll find in this commemorative special edition. There are limited copies available. You can order it on the ISC website. Go to the PayPal page, and on the drop-down menu, it's going to say order the World Tournament Guide. That will get you, for $15 US plus shipping and handling, that'll get you one of the limited edition copies of that 75th anniversary. And I've got a copy. It is an absolute tremendous read for the people that do collect the guides. You're absolutely going to want this one.
Excellent, Blair. Well, aside from these updates, just being players in the ISC, it's something that we come to really appreciate. Sometimes maybe you don't appreciate as much as we should. The opportunity that the ISC provides us players, get together, do what we love doing with the people we love doing. Very competitive, compete for a prestigious title. I know you and the executive board have had a lot of tough decisions, and kind of dependent on a lot of these announcements, and you've done a fantastic job. So from the players out there, we want to thank you and the executive team for everything that you're doing. Look forward to seeing you around a ball field coming up. And as these updates come on, having you on here periodically, and then a little bit down the road, closer to the World Tournament, we'll get you on here for a full episode. Absolutely a privilege to be partnering with you on this. So thank you for this update.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody, Canadians included, in Eldridge, Iowa, August 14th to the 21st at the 75th ISC World Tournament.
Sounds good, buddy. Great to hear from you, man.
Okay, thanks, guys. Cheers.
Hilly, great update there from Blair. So it's awesome to hear that news, share it with our listeners and the ball players that are out there. Look forward to having them on in future episodes with more updates, and just looking forward to the prospect, like we said, of getting back on the ball field and seeing the prestigious ISC World Tournament back in action.
And yeah, man, we're to the point now too where plans have to be made pretty quick. If you're planning on attending, or if teams are planning on attending, if we're allowed to go, you're going to have to book flights and hotels. That stuff got to be done in a very timely manner, as opposed to a traditional season. But so we're hoping for good news, but everybody's just looking for some news, some positivity here.
Yeah, and so that's a very encouraging update. And now on to today's guest, and we got a beauty. Let me do a little workup for you here, Hilly. Little workup. We got 10-time All-World ISC All-World player, 3-time ISC MVP, 6-time ISC World Tournament champion, 2009 ISF World champion, and there's 1,000 other things he's done in the game. One of our best buddies in Nick Shailes coming on with us today.
All I could think about then was when Phil Mickelson, you remember he goes, yeah, when they started listing off Tiger's accomplishments.
Yeah,
but,
I remember.
Listen, Shailes, he's got enough of them, but you say he's a great buddy of ours away from the game. Obviously one of today's premier players, going to be an all-time great when it's all said and done. Looking forward to touching on his time in Newfoundland. I think he's been here 3 or 4 times. See how he liked the all rack. And he also got a couple of business ventures going. So just looking to catch up, have a chat, and talk some ball.
Yeah, well, we got one of the best to come on and do that, and we'll touch on how he got a start in the game, the great relationship he has with his mom as his coach early on and still to this day, and then some of the differences between living in Australia and living over here in the Canadian winters. So we got some funny stories around how he's coped with that and adjusted. So without further ado, Nick Shailes. We'll get into the geography lesson here in a bit, I'm sure, because I don't know a lot about it other than those friggin' videos. I want to get into this right now. Hang on. So we got a group chat going on that we blow up every day, just messages going back. Yeah. And I'm saying it on here. Stop sending those videos that got the fucking spiders and the snakes and the crocodiles and all this stuff in it, man. It freaks me out. And it's like I'm on pins and needles whenever one of these comes. Like, is this going to be a funny clip? Is this going to be, but then sure enough, there's a big old tarantula jumping out of a cup onto the screen. Stop doing it, please.
Oh, mate, I tell you, the spiders, I'm not sure what you guys are all scared of, but I'm not a fan of snakes. I'll let you know that right now. I'm not a fan of snakes. But no, spiders, we got no problems with. Like, we had huntsmen running around our walls back home that were about the size of dinner plates. And
no, that wouldn't be my home anymore. I don't live there anymore. I'm moving. That's not my house.
Gasoline.
They don't make a web. Yeah, they don't make a web. They don't really cause you any troubles. They just eat insects and keep doing.
Make a web. So. They can fucking make a bed. They're that big.
Yeah, you're bad for that, man, and Folkart is bad for it too. Like, he'll send through videos. Some of them are hilarious, and then the other ones, man, where do you find this stuff, and why are you sending it to me?
I get him off Folkart. I'll tell you that right now. That guy somehow comes out with some of the best videos I've ever seen. I don't know who he gets them off, but yeah, he can be ruthless. He's tough. You're not sure what you're getting from him.
Well, he knows I got a weak stomach when it comes to some of the stuff that he sends and some of the bugs and snakes and all that, like the stuff that has it'll sneak up on you. And
that's what I was going to say. It could be like a nice video, or like even an emotional video or a motivational video or something. And I still have to do one of these and hold it at like 10 feet away from my face. I was like, something's fucking jumping out at me here now, like any second.
Yeah, and that's probably what, I don't know, a lot of people, you hear Adam Folkart, and he's renowned as one of the best pitchers to ever play the game, most dominant pitcher of his era. But behind the scenes, as a teammate, and even he's over in Australia now, and we'll get something, he's one of the biggest pranksters and jokers on the team. And it really adds to the chemistry, the culture, and just the way that he leads off the field. It's pretty cool to see that and be a part of it, isn't it?
Oh, it's impressive, mate. Like, it took a while for people to actually start to get to know Adam properly, because everyone thought he was so serious, and they see him on the mound and they thought, all right, he holds himself like he's the best. He does everything the right way. No, he's the same as the rest of us. He's a prankster. He loves a beer. But he's just that good at what he does that people think that he can't be human. And sometimes I forget he is. But I think the one time that got me was it had to be Florida, when we set up the house when all the Newfie boys were coming in later, and we walked in, we saran wrapped absolutely everything. We took the foil and wrapped all the utensils, done everything inside. We got a couple of air horns put behind a couple of doors. We set some alarms up in places that nobody was going to find ever, and set them for stupid hours. But I think the best thing that Adam ever did was put that iPad in the garden to film Hilly walking up to the door, and I lost it.
Yeah.
As soon as I seen Hilly walk up the door and open the door, I knew exactly what was going to happen. And sure as shit, he pushed the door open. The horn sounds. He jumps, loses it, runs back, and all of a sudden, here you see John Hill walking up. Going, what the fuck are you going on? Let's go.
Oh,
I opened the door and I was like, "There's a skunk or a possum or something behind that door." I was like, I just squat his foot when I tried to open the door. I couldn't believe it. Then we go in and everything is saran wrapped and tinfoil everywhere. I'd say I was 2 days in the house and I was still sitting on the toilet seats, and then firecrackers were going off over me arts and everything. I was like, this house is not safe. It was crazy. It was impressive, actually.
Speaking of that, so when we all, for our listeners, there a little history on our relationship together. So I first came to hear of Nick Shailes from Craig Watermullen, because you played, it was a year after I played in Townline that you came over, right?
Yep.
And joined the team, because when we met up tournaments after, I moved on after that to play for Willie, and you playing in some of the same tournaments and Townline's there. And I remember Craig Watermullen coming up and saying, man, this Nick Shailes guy he's unreal. And then, you're like, oh, he can't be that good. But, history would prove that wrong, that first impression wrong. But I remember sitting down in a bar with Sean O'Brien, and it was the year that you played with him in Aspen after that season. And he said, you really got to meet this guy, get to know him. If you get the chance to play together, all you guys are going to become best buddies. And truer words were never spoken. But then we got to join up playing in 2012 with Hill United, and then that's really where that set off. But can you walk us and our listeners through your journey coming over to play in the ISC, and then kind of right up to where it is now? And there's so much from your career in the ISC that we want to get into, but how did you get to make that jump? Because I know just from knowing you how life-changing that was.
Oh, for sure, mate. So for me, like you said, you were in Townline in 2005. And to be honest, I hadn't heard too much about the ISC. And all I'd heard was Adam, Cheese, those sort of guys had been there, and I was trying to get over there. And Joel Southam, who played with you.
Yep. Awesome guy, awesome ball player.
Yep. Great teammate.
Oh, that guy's one of the best players I've ever seen. One of the only players I've ever seen to hit Adam Folkard for a bomb and Cheese for a bomb on opposite sides of the plate in the same game.
That's insane. Yeah, here's the first real switch hitter I've ever seen. And then he gets up, did the same thing when we went down there. I was like, okay, who's this guy from Australia? Bomb from the right side, then with a lefty on the mound, or from the right side with a lefty on the mound, and then they bring in a right-hander, he gets up left-handed. I said, man, what are you doing? And bomb again. Insane. Yeah. It was one of the most talented ball players, all-around ball players I've ever met and played with.
Oh, he was unreal. And so he was with Townline at Townline with you, and then I think him and his wife decided that they were going to start a family and try and settle down a little bit. And Craig asked him, like, do you know of any shortstops back in Australia? And he's just like, yeah, well, here's his name, here's his number, and here's his email. And believe it or not, the night that I got the call from Craig to go to North America, I got a call an hour and a half later from the manager of the Australian team to notify me that I'd just made the national team. What a day for you then. Cool. Wow. I don't remember too much of that night, but I know where I was. But no, it was ridiculous. And then coming over playing for Townline, I had a chance to take off after my second year with Townline. And after I'd heard that Townline may not be coming back, because actually it was Dino that reached out to me, asked me if I wanted to go to Aspen in 2008. And Townline said they probably weren't coming back if I didn't come back over. And I said, screw it. I don't want to see a team like evaporate. We've seen too many teams do that. And I said, no, screw it. Like I just made pro the year before, so making a big team from there was all but impossible. So decided to go one more year with them, which was good. We played well in Kimberley. We had basically a home world. Didn't quite get the result we wanted. And then from there, we went to Aspen, which was a year after Hilly, I believe.
Yeah, I was there in 06.
06. Okay.
Yeah, and then I went to the farm, and that was really the first time I got to see you play, because I was in Wisconsin, or the Midwest U.S. every weekend, and man, we had some epic battles against town line. It seemed like every weekend we were facing each other, and if it wasn't in pool play, it was definitely semifinals or finals, and Eau Claire, Boys of Summer, all over the place, right? Man, we had some good games.
Yeah. Between the farm, Circle Tap, and Town Line, the games that were played over those weekends in Madison or Eau Claire, wherever it built us up to where we are right now. As we played with and playing against the guys we played against it was absolutely insane when you look back at it now. Like, you're looking at Hall of Famers, you're looking at guys who were some of the best in the game, and back then we didn't know. We were young and, all right, let's have at it then. Let's fucking go. And now you look back and it's like, holy crap! Like, that was impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I remember guys like Wayne Laulau was with you, and Beto Garineri, Darby was there. Were you there with Darby, or?
Yep, Darby was there. Aaron Nemia, he was a mainstay. He was
the catcher. Yeah.
He was really good. Yeah, Tane Richardson,
Fernando Petrick.
Yep, he was there too.
Yeah, like Juan and Seba went through there.
Yeah, that was when Lolly was there, I think.
Yeah,
Goolagong, like the amount of guys that went through Town Line, the team they could build these days from the guys that you used to have, it'd be up there with the powerhouse teams of today.
Yeah, I think you and I, Shailesy in particular, we're lucky. You don't want to call them like kind of a farm team, because they were a top ranked team, but they were a great team in their own right. But I know getting the opportunity to play there, to play in Wisconsin, that they provided us with that opportunity that really served as a springboard for the rest of our career, a place to cut our teeth, take our lumps, and learn it. So that was your first kind of impression of the ISC. So when you came over and you got to see that league and some of the players in it, who were some of the players that you looked at and said, these are the level that I want to get to? Does anyone stand out to you?
For me, I think I was more in awe of the guys that it was more the Kiwis, to be honest. Like, I played in New Zealand early in my career, and nobody knew who I was, which was the best part. But I came over and I see those New Zealand players, like your Donny Hales, your Thomas Markey, your Brad Roners, like facing Marty Grant, and like it sets you back.
Yeah.
Now, but back then, I don't know what it was. I just had the mentality, all right, well, you got to throw a strike. Let's go. And if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't. But seeing these guys walk into the ballpark for Patsy's, the farm, like County, like all of these teams, it was like, holy crap. Like, how am I on the field with these guys? These are guys that I've just heard names. And all of a sudden now we're competing against them. Like, how does this work? But no, I was lucky enough to do well against the guys I knew. And I don't know. I had no fear at the time. I was just like, all right, well, let's have some fun. Let's go at it and see what we can do.
Yeah, it's the same sentiments. I remember my first time when, we finally started to play against the big boys. And it can be pretty intimidating. You're a young kid coming in and nobody knows who you are. Nobody really cares who you are. And all of a sudden you're facing all these big humpers, right? Like Gru and Dino and, we got to face Z before he went off and all these other guys. And you're like, well, holy shit. But you know what? Like, I always told myself, if these guys strike you out, well, who gives a fuck? They're supposed to strike you out.
Yeah,
but guess what? They got to throw the ball over the plate at some point in time. And when they do, you better be ready to hit it. Right. So
yeah, that's what Dad always said to me. I remember when I was playing with Townline, the first time we got to face County Materials. We're playing an Eau Claire Classic, and we end up playing them in the semifinal game on the back diamond down there. And they're over warming up. We just had to win a game to get to them. And we're walking over. It's a bit of a hike from the main diamond over to the back diamond. And you see the black and red uniforms, and it looks like the silhouette of Darren Zach throwing on the sidelines. Like, oh, man, we're getting to face Darren Zach right now. And I get on a flip phone, right, to call home. I said, I don't know what it cost the sponsor or one of the guys there who gave me the phone. It was, it was Hermes. Gave me his phone. I called home and to tell Dad that we're about to face Darren Zach. And Dad was walking back in the country to go fishing, right? And he picks up, he just got enough service. And I said, Dad, we're facing Darren Zach. And I'll never forget it. He just said, well, go out there. The ball doesn't know who's throwing it, is what he said, right? And I don't know. It's something that always comes up in my mind in these situations, that the ball doesn't know who's throwing it. Now, in certain situations, the ball gets thrown a hell of a lot faster and moves a lot more. but it was a pretty cool approach at that point. But like you said earlier, when you get down there and you see the top level ball, it was you were awestruck, right? But that's how you kind of cut your teeth. And then, we could be on here 10 hours kind of going through your career and a lot of the big moments. So, but two in particular, you got to be a part of two pretty good dynasties, or what could be considered dynasties, with the Jarvis team. And we talked to Ian Fearman on the podcast around that whole Jarvis side of things. I'd like to hear your perspective on that. And then, what we've seen over the last number of years with Hill United. But could you kind of take us through that part of your career on how you came to be with Jarvis, your time there, and then the transition into the Hill United days?
Yeah, for sure. So I moved from Aspen to Jarvis. Honestly, that's when me and Adam really started playing together. And with Jarvis, it just fit. Like, we spent time with guys like Opie and Statsy and Corny and all these boys from around Jarvis, and they're all small town boys. And then you bring in all the guys from all over the place, like from New Zealand and Australia and that. And the best part was, most of us, we came from smaller towns. We had fun with it, and we respected everybody that was on that team. And to be able to do what we did for the couple of years that we did it was actually really impressive, because, well, that first year against Kitchener, that was just gritty. That's all that was. That was just flat out, all right, well, we're supposed to get beat. We're not supposed to be here right now. So, hey, screw it. Let's do it. Because, to be honest, we don't have Adam and they don't have Todd. Yeah. So now it's number two versus number two, and away we go. This is where all the hitters come in. And we ended up pulling one off there, which was a big underdog effort.
That was in Midland, right?
That was in Midland, yeah. And that was the first world title that I ever got. That was the first one I ever won. And to experience in the way what we did was insane. Like I said, Adam hurt himself, I think, earlier in the tournament. So we had to rest him, and we're hoping to get him back for the end of the week. But for the guys that were throwing for us, Eatsy and Fibsy, and they carried us through that whole week, and it ended up working out. Our bats carried us through, and we done really well. But then the next year, similar thing happened. One of the rare times, Adam got hurt again, and Donnie Scott, small town guy, not very big, but one of the biggest hearts I've ever seen in the game.
Yeah,
and just came out and just threw bullets. It was that week his grandfather, I think it was his grandfather, passed.
Yeah, they were really tight too.
And so he was, really tight. And he's like, give me the ball. You're not taking the ball off me. We go on the distance. And he killed it. But the Jarvis team it was really close, really tight knit team. And it was a really good time for my career because I stepped up into playing with those higher guys after playing with Aspen. It seemed like a step on top of the next one and just kept moving from there into Hill United.
Yeah, so that kind of wrapped up a dynasty there with Jarvis at that point. And then I know you and Adam were really the guys that spearheaded the whole formation from a player's side of things of Hill United. Can you walk us through how that whole thing started and turned into what it is today?
Yeah, so Adam and I were playing in Erie, and a guy named Mike Joseph actually came down and pitched in that league. And from there, he decided to bring us up to Buffalo to play in a league during the week. And he basically turned around and said, well, do you guys know what you're doing next year? We got no idea. And he's like, well, I think we might have a team from just north of the border. We want to bring you up and show you what we're about, and this is what we can do. So to just bring your passport. So we, all right, sounds good. We went and played in Buffalo. It was a different league. I think both Adam and I came out and hit 2 or 3 home runs in it each, and Adam just struck out everybody there, and it was ridiculous. And then they took us across into the falls, across the border, and showed us exactly the sort of team that they wanted to build. And they put us up at the Hilton. They showed us a great time. They took us out to dinner. They took us for a meal, show, absolutely everything. And it basically said, look, guys, you won't have to worry about a thing. All we want you to do is show up and play. And we plan on building the best team in the world. Wow. And from what they showed us and what we sort of seen from them, it didn't seem like they were lying. Right. So they said, if you want to know, call Mark Johnson. Mark's played hockey for us. He's been around for a longer time. So call Mark, and Mark's like, I'm already in. Like, I hope you guys are in because I'm already playing for him. So up to you guys. I said, well, it seems like a great idea. And me and Adam talked it over, and it was tough, obviously, to leave Jarvis after winning 2 world titles with them. But it just seemed like the right time to transfer into something that we could literally be a part of something bigger here. And so we turned around and said yes. And then all of a sudden, it was me, Adam, and MJ. And then all of a sudden, we turn around and, all right, there's Hilly, Bradley, Elsie, Lolly. Well, everyone just ended up just popping up left, right, center. I was like, holy crap, these are like some of the best players in all of the other teams. Yet we're still dealing with Prawn. Yeah. So somehow we caught all of these guys on different years, and we were able to build this team with only 4 prawns and 1 prawn pitcher, I think it was.
Yeah, it was just good timing.
It was great timing. And it was more putting players together with players that they enjoyed being around, and they bounced off really well.
Yeah, I remember it well. Mike Joseph called me, and he was like, hey, Jay, how you doing? Who you playing for next year? And all this stuff. And he started telling me, he wants you to come on board with Hill United. And he started telling me who you got. And he's like, well, we got Folkard, and we got Nick Shailes, and then we're going after Steve Mullally, Bradley Ezekiel, Mark Johnson, and all these guys. And I'm like, well, yeah, I would love to play. Like, I'm certainly interested, but because I was like, man, this is not right. This is a fucking prank call. Like, this is not. I got to do a bit of recon here. I was like, let me get back to you here, Mikey. And then, I didn't even know, Mike.
Well, then you said, yeah, I'm in, but in a couple of years, can I take my dad with me?
So I didn't even know Adam, really. I knew who he was, obviously. So message him on Facebook or whatever it was, and I'm like, hey, I like hearing this rumors like you're on Hill United and all this stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, mate, I'm in. I was like, fucking perfect. I was like, it sure beats having to face you every weekend. I said, I'll jump on that team.
Yeah, that was a great decision for the batting average, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that was a great decision for all of us.
Yeah. So we played that first year, 2012, and it's one of those ones where we knew some of the guys on the team well. And me and Bradley and Hilly and Elsie, we knew each other. And it was first time getting to play with everybody else, really. MJ played with us in Chicago, New York, so knew him really well. And he's just a glue guy on the team, great player, and really central to the culture on that team and the success we've had. So it was a really quick kind of bonding for the team. And I think there's something to be said about Canadian ball players and Australian ball players playing together. I think we're cut from the same cloth that way. And then I know when we first started, and when you look back on that year, we finished second in the ASA, second in the ISC. We lost 3 games all year. And we got bet twice in the championship on the ASA. And we lost in the championship game of the ISC to Jarvis, who won their three-peat, so after losing that. But it was devastating to lose, but at the same time, we knew that if this team stays together, this could be really, really special. And then the next year, that's where it all started.
Oh, 100%, mate. Like, to go through the first season of all of us together and only lose 3 games is unheard of. Yeah. But for those 3 to be the 3 games we lost is also unheard of.
Like, crazy.
How in the fuck did that happen? But I think we all knew that we had something special there. And a lot of people don't realize how close a knit team the Chiefs are. A lot of people sort of look at them and think the Yankees and think, all right, well, this is the biggest team in the world, like County and those sort of guys. But for us, it was a bunch of mates playing together and enjoying their time and knowing that, all right, well, all I've got to do is what I do, really. Like, I don't have to go above and beyond. I can relax and have some fun. Like, Adam is Adam. Like, he turned around and just dominated there for I don't know how many years. And then all we really had to do was get him a run. But for us, it was, I don't know, that was one of the best runs. No, it was the best run I've ever been on. And just with the bunch of guys that we had, it was something really special.
Yeah, you talk about the bonding and the camaraderie. And one thing among many things that the Hill family did and still does really well is there's always something for us to do together. If we're not on the field, if we're in between games, well, guess what? Now we're going over here to this gazebo. They have a full spread cooked for us, or if it's at the end of the night, we're going to have a couple of beers in the gardens, and then we're going to go to this restaurant, or we got this place rented out, or we're going golfing tomorrow, and always as a team. And I feel like that really contributed. Like we really built those friendships and those bonds that kind of transpired and shown itself on the field.
Oh, for sure. Like the family, the Chiefs family isn't just said. Like it's not just something that we say just to make people think that we're a family. Like we're flying in to play tournaments, and the family is there cooking us meals for us when we get off the field, so we have something to eat to keep us going for the rest of the day, or to keep us going for the next day. Like they support us through thick and thin. It's amazing how much they brought us all in to that Hill family. And I think I speak on behalf of most of the guys that ever played for them. And like I feel like I'm part of the family, and I feel like I can go there and call on them anytime.
Well, I know I'm family. I don't know where Malali and Shailesy fits in, but like Hill is definitely on the tree there somewhere.
Yeah, which is it's just hilarious. And is it your team? Like Jason Hill,
Yeah.
is it? No. He's just tagging along here, but it's pretty. No, it was pretty cool, and yeah, lucky is the word, right? The commitment that it takes to run a top level team, and it's not just putting the money into to run a team and pay for all the hotels and get everybody there. It's that stuff is needed, but it's just the passion around it, and when we show up, they have an expectation of greatness, but an expectation of this is how they envision the team showing up and representing them and their family. And it's incredibly fortunate to be a part of that organization. And we've seen the success, 3 ASA championships in a row, 3 ISC championships in a row, and then added another one, another ISC in 2000. What was it, 18 or 19?
17.
Or 17, and then another ASA. It's incredibly successful. So it's great to see that translate into those championships. But Shailesy, over the years now, we've been best buddies, the 3 of us, for the last 10 years. And a lot of it doesn't have to do with ball anymore, right? And that's from that. Sometimes I keep forgetting how freaking good you are at ball, right? Just when you look back, and just for our listeners there, I just want to pause for a second and just talk specifically around some of the things that you've done in the game. You won the World Championships in 2009 with Australia, which was huge. We'll talk about that in a minute. Just tearing up the ASA when you get a chance to go there, but what you've done in the ISC in particular, it just leaves you shaking your head. One of 3 players in the history of the game to win 3 MVPs. Another year, you threw a top batter award on there. Like Hilly only got 1 of those top batter awards in ISC. I don't even have any. But 3-time MVP, a top batter, 5-time ISC champion, and 10-time All-World. What are you doing, man? It's insane, and it's nuts.
I think if you have a couple more years, good, you probably go Hall of Fame. Maybe
you might get the call, Shailesy.
Can only hope. I've heard you're going first ballot, Hilly, but hopefully I might be on there in a couple of years' time after you.
But around that, Shailesy, it's just been a privilege to see it. We've all benefited from how you show up, but that tournament, the ISC World Tournament, you take your game to a different level. So could you walk us and our listeners through, when you think about that tournament and you think about an ISC season, what's your approach? How do you prepare? And then specifically for that World Tournament, what's your approach? Where's your head at?
For me, that's the biggest tournament in the world. For me, I need to bring my best at that time of the year. So everything's building up to that point. For me, it's more about where I fit in the team. It's not about me personally. It's not about how I can do whatever. It's more, all right, well, this is what I can bring. But for me, I look towards my zone and realize what pitches have thrown me for the last couple of years. Really, I try to look for trends. I try to look for different positioning, and every couple of years it comes around and the zone changes. But for me, mostly, and as pretty much 90% of the people out here know, I like the other half. So
Hold on now. Got to mark that down.
Yeah. If you don't have that marked down by now, Hilly, wrong, mate.
Hilly, if you're pitching to him, just mark down 1 right in the friggin' rib cage.
You tried to go away from me once before, Hilly. It didn't work out well for you.
I know. I should have stayed inside when you popped out the first twice. Anyway, we'll move on. But
no, for me, it's more about what I can do for the team, and I just basically try and keep the ball in play. I try and pride myself on not striking out. That's been my biggest aim since I came into the game. And my mother, believe it or not, she was my coach for ever. She still coaches me to this day. She was coaching me in Prague in 2019. And she's like, why would you try and do too much with the ball? They put it there. Just let the bat meet it. Like, you don't have to overhit it. You don't have to think too much about it. Wherever it is, just see it and hit it and just go with it. If you hit it well enough, yeah, it'll carry. But as long as you're on the base paths, there's plenty of guys behind you to bring you in. And that's played well over my whole career, especially with both of you two hitting behind me. The amount of times I've scored in a world tournament, I have to be up there, to be honest.
Well, whether it's getting driven in, but the amount of home runs that you've hit in that tournament is, you got to be going for a record there. That if you're not at the top, you're near the top, and you might very well get there over the next number of years. But Hilly, it's been pretty cool getting the front row seat to watch one of the best players in the game. Even though as good of friends we are, that's what he is. One of the best players ever to play this game. It's been pretty cool to see that development over the last decade.
Yeah, and just and learning from it as well is what we obviously you're our teammate, and we're just hoping you to keep doing your thing. But like, as we watch you from behind, we're learning as well. And I see your approach with two strikes, or you see your approach after facing the same guy a certain number of times, and kind of picking your brain. It's been a bit of a treat, buddy. And obviously I go way back to 2007 when I first see you come over. I don't remember 2006. You're probably the shits back then. But 27, I was like, yeah, this guy can play. And we finally got to become teammates. Then I knew I gotta get this guy in my circle, and I gotta pick his brain and see what he does at the plate, because there's something different that's being done here that can certainly help any hitter out at this game. Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly is supported by Miller Lite. Great Pilsner taste with only 90 calories and 3 grams of carbs per serving. After a tough game, it's always Miller time. Please drink responsibly.
As good as you are at ball, one thing you're not good at is skating, ice skating. And we got to bring up the video of when you went down to play, or you went down to visit Elsie, and you and Elsie have become best buddies. Jeff Ellsworth, for our listeners here. Yep. And you went down there, you and Jen, and he got you out on the ice for the first time. It was hilarious. But what do you remember from that day?
So I literally just moved to Canada 5 days earlier. and Elsie's like, oh, you're moving to Canada. All right. I got to have you up here. We're going to talk to a couple of hundred young ball players. We'll get you in. We'll do a motivational speaking sort of gig. All right. He's like, yeah, just come in for the weekend. Away we go. I was stuck there for 8 days.
Yeah, they got hammered with like a massive snowstorm, didn't they, at that time?
We flew in at the end of January, left early February. He's driving this little Pontiac, what was it, a Torrent or something. And we're driving through 3 or 4 feet of snow. And it's like, all right, we're good. We're just going to follow these tracks. It's like, okay. And all of a sudden, the tracks turn into a laneway. And I was like, where'd the road go? He's like, oh, shit, hold on. Boom, into the ditch.
Welcome to Canada. Welcome to Canadian winter.
Welcome to Elsie driving.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. Both of them. We could spend a full episode talking about that, too.
But, he in those 8 days that we were stuck, he ended up taking us to do just about every winter activity that you could possibly think of. We went skiing, we went skating, we went cross-country skiing. What else? I can't remember.
Some curling, wasn't it?
Yeah, we done some curling. I went ass up on that.
We're going to get the boys to post those videos to our social media accounts so our listeners can see you curling or skating. It's hilarious.
Elsie does it's an annual video now. He posts on Facebook, like, it was ago, like Sidney Crosby, eat your heart out or something like that. Oh, it's awesome.
And when we get Elsie on here, we'll hear this from his perspective too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But as you boys know, my foot isn't the smallest.
No.
So I walk into the rink and he's got a pair of skates that are size 10s. That's all I got. I said, well, I'm going skating. So I try and squeeze my my size 13 feet into a pair of size 10s. And so I'm tiptoeing across the ice. But luckily I had a fucking hockey stick, and it held me up for most of it. But I wasn't letting him get the satisfaction of me falling while I was skating that first time. And then the next day we went curling, and I went arse up. Real hard.
In your defense, I think I'd do the same if I was curling, but
Yeah.
you look like Bambi there on the old blades. Every time I see it, I bust out laughing. It's friggin' hilarious.
I still do, mate. I still do. I think I've skated 3 times in my life.
Did you get to Newfoundland in the winter? I know you're here like 3 or 4 times. Was it all summer?
I don't think I've been game enough to try and head out there in the winter, because if I got stuck in PEI for 8 days, what am I going to get stuck in Newfoundland with?
Oh, fuck. Where else would you rather be stuck?
Oh, no, but that snowstorm you had last year?
Yeah, that was too much.
That was insane. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
That was a different beast. That was. They say that only comes once every 25 years. Yeah. No, they don't say that.
But to be honest, if it was for the people, both Jen and I love it out in Newfoundland. To be honest, it's a gorgeous part of the world, and some of our best friends live out there, and we enjoy it a ton. But we can barely handle the winters in Ontario. It's not going to work out in Newfoundland. I'm sorry.
You'll keep it to July, August months, but
Yeah.
on that, that's your first time getting to experience a Canadian winter, and it was pretty cool to see Elsie take you through all those things, and who better to do it, right? But take us through your perspective on what are the biggest similarities and the biggest differences that you found living in Australia to Canada.
So I find we're very, very similar in our lifestyles, everything we do, like going out to eat, all sorts of stuff. Like the only difference.
Oh, you eat in Australia? That's good.
Yeah, every now and then. But the main thing is you guys add the tax on, we build it in. So if someone says $50, it's $50.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It's not 55, 60, whatever. But outside of that, it's very, very similar other than the weather. Like the people are the same. They'll give you the shirt off their back. They'll bring you into their home. They'll treat you like family, and it's a very similar atmosphere, especially with Newfoundland. But it feels like you're home, to be honest. Like coming over here and everybody bringing you in, it really makes you feel like home until winter hits, and then things change.
Yeah, our winters haven't been too bad. Like that, like I said, that storm was a one-off, but it's really nice here in the wintertime. It's good, man, to get out and post-COVID stuff when we're allowed to actually live normally. But man, there's a lot of stuff to do here, and you only got to see. You just got your feet wet, so you're gonna have to get you back here and show you. Maybe we do some bayman activities while they get you out around the bay somewhere.
That's right. You'll see how real Newfoundlanders lived in Shailesy. You don't the boys that grew up going to the mall and all this stuff. No, sir. Yeah. You come out my way. You'll see.
The bugs won't punch. They're only about as big as nickels.
So what you said before, Hilly, I only just got my feet wet. Literally half an hour after I landed, I didn't even make it to your old man's car, and I had a beer in my hand. And on the way back to the airport, I would just barely finish my beer by the time we showed back up to the airport. I don't think I was sober for any part of that trip.
Well,
you're not supposed to be.
You're not supposed to be. No, it was excellent having you down there. But Hilly, you brought up some of the things now once the COVID lifts and all that stuff. But we've had a little bit of fun throughout it, trying to make the most of it. And one of the nights that kind of sticks out to me is, so as you know, Coolbet's one of our sponsors on here, Shailesy, and that Coolbet is nothing new to us. one of the things we do to kind of stay in touch is we'll get on and, we'll have the computers up virtually and we'll play a little bit, play the slot machines, right? And I don't know, it was a few months ago, Bradley Esigo went up to Hilly's house, and then you came down to mine, and we got the two computers going, and we all threw in $100. We said, okay, we'll kind of share the wealth. You guys spin on your computer, we'll spin on ours, and then we'll see if one of us can hit. So it was fun getting caught up, and then, I don't know, we're about an hour in, and then, okay, that $100 is gone. We said, all right, see you later. Shailesy was staying over at my place. So we let the boys go, Bradley and Hilly. I don't know what you guys went on doing. And me and Shailesy
went to bed.
Yeah.
Got it.
Wuss. Anyway,
Totally disgusted.
Yeah. Well, me and Shailesy looked at each other and said, throw another 100 on or what? Yeah, sure enough. 5 spins in, we hit $8,000 jackpot. And then we're there high-fiving, jumping around the living room, and said, oh, Jesus, now what are the boys going to think of that? But we didn't rub it in. We didn't rub it in too hard, though.
No, we were happy for you. We were fucking thrilled.
But it's just some of those things. It's great to stay connected through the winter months, and thank God we got things like this. Like we're on here getting to see each other. It's awesome, but really looking forward to the prospect of getting back on the field together this year. Shailesy, when you're looking out towards the 2021 season, what are you looking forward to the most, and what are you doing to prepare?
Looking forward to catching up with the boys the most, to be honest. But outside of that, it's just going to be good to get back on the field. It's been, a year and a half now since we've been on the field, and it's tough. It's especially at our age, which sucks. But we are near in the end, as bad as it sounds. But hopefully we've all got a couple more years left in us. But for me, we got to hit. I've got to just get my eye back. I've got to go through the motions, just get used to hitting the ball off the tee again, getting used to the contact points, all that sort of stuff. But outside of that, it's going to be getting used to being around the boys again, having some fun and just enjoying it. Really, this is what we live for. This is why we play. So hopefully we can head to the States with the Chiefs and have some success and play these couple of tournaments and come out with a little bit of hardware.
So do you guys, I guess it goes for you too, Lolly, up in Ontario, do you guys get to play a league under normal circumstances or whenever all this stuff gets lifted? Do you guys have a league that you play during the week or that you can play during the week? Or?
Yeah, I got an email today actually from Pete Chambers. So he runs the Waterdown Hammer team, and Pete's a friend of mine, and he's allowed me to go out, and when I couldn't commit full time to playing league, just come out and fill in here or there or get some swings before big tournaments. But there's going to be a league starting first week of July, and I'm going to get out and playing. And you play in that Niagara League, Shailesy, but I think they're putting some sort of hybrid league, 5 teams maybe from the Golden Horseshoe and Niagara League together, so that we might get a chance to either play together or against each other in that league.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. I've had 1 or 2 guys reach out and see if I want to play up around Hamilton, but hopefully we can get a couple of league games in and try and get a little bit of the flow back and just get used to it again, being out in the field and running around. But I guess we'll just see what the future holds, and from there we'll I guess we'll see. Like the federal government just announced that we can travel again with as long as we've got both vaccines, we don't have to quarantine when we come back. So
yeah, that's huge.
Fingers crossed, everything's moving in the right direction.
Just a matter of getting the border opened up now, and then we're good to go, eh?
That's it.
What about Team Australia? Like, what are you guys doing, or what are they doing, if anything, to prepare for New Zealand 2022? Like, is there anything planned? Camps, tours? I mean, what can you do, I guess?
Yeah, so we've got a squad. they are playing different tournaments back in Australia, which is good. But yeah, we've got the squad there. We're doing training programs, all sorts of stuff. So we're still building. I'm very similar to what the Canadian team's doing. I would say, like, you guys have your core 12 or whoever it is, and that way you guys are building towards that. But for us, we've got a bigger squad of, I think it's around 30 odd. But yeah, no, we've got a good mix of youth and experience, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to New Zealand, to be honest. I think we've got a really good team.
Yeah, well, you guys have one of the best teams in the world for a number of years, and you and Folkard and Andrew Kirkpatrick and Zenon Winters and these guys that, just top ball players in the game, that core group has really helped that team be successful. And just wondering if you can quickly talk us through your journey with Team Australia, making the team as a young kid, getting to the pinnacle of the sport in 2009 with that World Championships win in Saskatoon, and now being one of the veterans and captains on the team. What was that journey like for you?
It was, I think my journey was a little bit different to most. I came from a very different part of Australia than most of the others. I was from a very small country town, so wherever there were camps, I had to travel a long way too. But so I debuted in 2006 in the Commonwealth Games in Australia, and then we played New Zealand Black Sox, South Africa, and Samoa. I think we're in that tournament. But so that was unreal. Got to play with some very big Australian names that will go down in history. But then we got to play in Japan. We got to move around a little bit, play some international ball. And then come 2009, I'd started to make a little bit of a name on the ISC circuit. And I don't think everybody realized what I was capable of, which was good. So that sort of helped me in 2009. So people were still giving me good pitches to see. And we had an unreal tournament. Adam dominated, as you know, and he's absolute freak. But just that core group of like you, Chris Keefe, or you've Mike Harrow, Goolagong, Tanner, Zenon, Cheese, like all these guys are just, they carried all of us young guys through, to be honest. And then from there we started to build, and 2013 wasn't one of my greatest years, but we ended up getting a bronze in New Zealand, which was amazing. And then going on to 2015 when you guys won, I think we ended up just outside of the top three. I think we ended up fourth. Yeah. But yeah, like it's the journey that I've had. I followed into big shoes. Like Joel Southam, I came in just after Joel Southam decided to step back. Came in, and Jeff Goolagong was just, to me, that was where I wanted to be. I wanted to be Jeff Goolagong at that time because he was a freak, absolute freak. Like
I think we all did.
Oh,
he was so good.
Like,
so good.
The guy was that good. It was insane. And just to have the chance to play with him and play alongside him and play against him for so many years when he was with the farm, and just, it was, that helped my game out a lot. And then, getting to Whitehorse and Prague, like Cheese was a very big factor in my career as well. Like he's only a year older than me, but it just seems like he's been around for that long that he helped all of us sort of just work our way through everything and really helped guide us.
You talk about the. I just want to touch on the Aussie pitching. Did I hear correctly that Cheese has retired from national team play?
Yeah. He retired after Prague. Well, he retired after Whitehorse, but he decided, we talked him back into coming to Prague, and now he's done.
So what does the Aussie pitching scene look like? I know you obviously have Adam and Harry Peters is not too far behind the boys, and young Leighton Reed, I think his name is, throws pretty hard, circle tap. What is the pitching scene in Australia? Are you guys developing? Is there, what is it?
There's a few. Our junior program.
What's their names? Where do they live? How old are they?
So
is there video on YouTube?
No, that's one thing that Australia can definitely pride themselves on is their junior program. It has dominated. It dominated for so many years, and they just done everything in the right way.
Hey guys, Hilly here. Just wanted to take a minute to thank everyone for the support we have received so far. If you have any comments, feedback, or a guest request, drop us a line at dustuppodcast@gmail.com.
What's really cool knowing you, Shailesy, is one, how much you care about the game, how hard you work at becoming great at it, how great of a teammate you are. But you've taken that knowledge, that experience and expertise that you've gained on the field over the last decade plus, and it's really cool to see how you've taken that and took the entrepreneurial spirit and created your own businesses geared towards the softball, baseball space with Lumberjack Sports and now with HRD Bat Company. And it's, well, first and foremost, unbelievable products, and we have all the gear. But talk a little bit about how Lumberjack Sports and HRD Bat Co. came to be.
So for me, it was more. I kind of got sick and tired of buying these $50 to $60 pair of batting gloves and them only lasting 2 weekends, 3 weekends. And honestly, I'm pretty sure I sat down with you boys and said, okay, I have to be able to make something a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
And so it took me a while, obviously, but no, it took me about 18 months to finally nail down exactly what I wanted and manufacturers, and it took a long time, but I got to a point where I was like, you know what, this is exactly what I like, and hopefully ball players like the same sort of thing that I like, and this is what I came up with, and it seemed to have taken off fairly well. Like the feedback that I've got from the batting gloves, the love that I've got from the softball community is huge, as well as the baseball community. Everything's gone really, really well. But with HRD, that's our new venture, and it's really taken off a lot quicker than I thought it would. But I've become really good friends with a guy named Trevor Oakes, and this guy is an absolute whiz with a lathe and creating wooden bats. And in earlier this year, we decided that we'd create a bat company and decided to offer him a job. And now we're MLB approved. We're in the minor leagues. Crazy. We've got bats going to major league players.
Wow.
We got bats in Germany. We got bats in Australia. To be honest, I couldn't have predicted that this company would take off the way it has. But just from the guy like Trevor that knows exactly what he's doing with wood, and me who sort of knows what baseball is and what softball is like what they like to swing and how they like to go about it. And it's just been a perfect fit. And we've really gone in leaps and bounds. And our company's really taken off right now.
One of your good buddies is I don't know if he's in MLB. He's in a minor league system, Minnesota Twins, maybe.
Yep. Aaron, he played in the majors last year. He got one at bat, and before he went up, I think he said it was Josh Donaldson got in his ear and he said, "You're going to swing at the first pitch?" And he's like, "Fucking right I am."
Attaboy.
So he got up and he did. He swung at the first pitch and then he lined it straight to the second baseman. And that was the only at-bat in the bigs he got. But he's in Double-A right now. He got Double-A player of the month, I think, in the first month. Or the first week, I think it was, maybe. But no, he's doing really well. He's loving his time, and hopefully here soon. I think there's a very good chance you're going to see him in the big leagues here.
Yeah, you send some of those videos of him like making. I think it was with Team Australia actually, where he made that unreal catch in the outfield to save a game, and then he got the hit to drive in the winning run. He's just really impressive, and getting to see, well, from the start when you started Lumberjack, I think Hilly and I tried on every prototype that you had coming from whatever corner of the earth you said is coming in from this week, and to see it go from what was in your head to now what's on a lot of the ball players around the ISC in particular. Everyone's who tries these gloves love them, and I'll come out and say they're the best batting gloves I've ever tried, and it's really cool to see you bet on yourself and come out with these two companies. And want our listeners out there to check out Lumberjack Sports, check out HRD Backco, and I'm sure they can reach out to you on your social media channels if anyone wants to get in touch with you on that.
Oh, 100%. If anybody wants to talk to me about any of that, everybody knows where to find me on social media. It's pretty much Shailesy27 for just about everything. So, but no, I'm glad that I could help out. That's the biggest thing for me. I was actually lucky enough 2 weeks ago. Friends of mine that I grew up playing baseball with went to the Australian Masters games. As bad as it sounds, the Masters games in Australia go from 35 and up.
Well,
so
how much are tickets?
Exactly.
How much are plane tickets there, boys? So we can go over and make our debut.
So all the guys that I grew up playing baseball with, they decided to put together a team and just screw it, let's go for a drinking trip and have some fun. And they asked if I could help them out with a bat, and we got them a bat and everything. I said, look, this is going to sound a lot different to everybody else's bat, just so you know. And after the first game, they had about 5 people come up to him and say, why does your bat sound so much different to the rest of ours? And they say, it's because this is an MLB grade wood. We're literally swinging what the guys in the big leagues are swinging. We know the guy that owns the company. I don't know what to say. And they ended up winning.
Corked.
And they're corked.
No, just kidding.
Basically, out of that, they're going to Tokyo. They're going to the World Masters games.
Wow.
So that makes me smile. That to be able to help out guys that I grew up playing ball with from a small town that never really followed their dreams, but they kept playing ball in local and doing their thing, and it's just about to help them out makes all of this worthwhile, to be honest.
So who would you, like, I know Adam and Cheese or ACT, I think it's called, right? So who would you have been like club nationals against those guys? What was your territory or your province or whatever the hell it was?
So I started out in New South Wales. I lived in New South Wales. It's just I was 10 hours north of Sydney. So 99.5% of the players that play for New South Wales come from Sydney.
So is that like Jimmy Hunter and Harry Peters? That same?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yep. Those guys. Joel Southam played for New South Wales.
Yeah.
We had a few players. Darby, all those boys.
Yeah.
And but after a while, I couldn't make it to all the practices, obviously, because I wasn't driving 10 hours to go and practice.
Right.
And so they ended up going a different route because I couldn't fit in with the group because they were practicing during the week and doing everything. And they decided to drop me from that. So I went to Queensland, which worked out better for me because I could drive 2.5 hours north and I was across the border into Queensland, and I could play for Queensland. So I've played for Queensland, I've played for New South Wales, and I've played for ACT. New South Wales didn't pick me my first year of 16U, and I ended up going and playing with Cheese, and we ended up beating New South Wales in the final.
Wow.
It was awesome.
I bet.
Oh yeah.
So still quite a bit of travel.
So when I played for New South Wales, I'd finish school on a Friday, go home, shower, pack a bag, jump on a bus at 7 o'clock at night, and I would arrive in Sydney at 6 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning.
Shit.
And I would practice all day. That we'd go straight to the park. I'd practice all day. We'd go back to wherever I was staying, one of the guys on the team would have me stay with them, and then sleep, get up, train the next day, finish practice, go to the bus station at 5, and then I'd get back home at 7 o'clock in the morning, go home, have a shower, jump on the bus to school.
Wow.
So that was probably 3/4 of my my weekends growing up.
It's insane, man. It's a lot of freaking travel, but it's the hard work and commitment like that pays off, and that you can look back on now that really I'm sure paved the way for you.
So we never had money growing up. Like if we had money, we'd be able to fly, but there was no point spending the money on flights, especially if I was traveling that much, if I could just sleep on the bus. So it was a very, very long time traveling, but I made the most of it when I got there. So I can't thank my mother enough for doing what she did for me back then, because she's definitely been the biggest influence on my softball career for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool knowing your story, knowing you, and knowing your mom. Just you don't hear a whole lot of the guys that we play with who had their mother as their coach, or their mother as the biggest influence. She's probably one of the most knowledgeable men's fast pitch minds in the game, and I'm sure she's incredibly proud when she gets to sit back and see everything that you've done in the game, and know that she's played a huge part in that. And and to hear you talk about that, it's pretty special.
Big time, mate. And here's a fun fact for you, though. My mother still holds the longest home run in my hometown.
Yeah?
I can't hit one that far, man. Honestly. It's straight away the left field. And to be honest, it'd have to be close to like 360, 380. It's just her old Mizuno weighed like 30 ounces, and she hit an absolute fucking bomb. And everyone in my hometown still holds me to that. That is like, your mom still hit one further than you.
Yeah, so everything that we read out earlier, you're still never hit the longest home run in your family.
100%. It doesn't matter about the all the accolades. Yeah.
Wicked, man. Well, Shailesy, we talked about this a bunch of times now. We wanted to go through and get a little bit about your story and what you've done in the game. There's just so much to get through in one episode. We got a lot of things planned with you coming up for some guest hosting spots with us and things like that. So we're going to get into a ton of fun. One thing before we let you go, though, you brought it up earlier. Could you just walk our Canadian listeners through what is cricket? What are the rules? Go.
Cricket is one of the best drinking games that you've ever come across in your life.
Yeah.
How many times can you turn around and say, you know what, I've got 5 days that I can sit there and watch sport and drink from 10 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night, have dinner, and then go to bed?
That's insane. You tried to explain it to us one time. You got 3 or 4 sentences in, and we checked out. No, we're going to watch hockey. That's enough of this bullshit.
Oh yeah, no, it's way too hard to explain. But no, I've definitely got to get you guys out onto a cricket field here sometime, because I know you boys will love it. You guys would absolutely kill it. You swing from the heels and hope for the best, but that's basically what you need to do in cricket. So,
yeah. Believe it or not, Lolly, there is a cricket league here in St. John's, like newly formed the last few years. I guess. There's actually like Cricket NL, like an association. I'm pretty sure.
Get amongst it, boys. Let's go.
Well, we're planning a trip down there coming up, Hilly, so we might have to go down and test out cricket. But all I know of cricket is watching it on. The boys are throwing the ball they don't use gloves. It looks like a hard ball. They're using a paddle to hit it, and all I see is guys getting drilled in the nuts the whole time. So I was like, well, that doesn't appeal to me.
And when you catch a guy out, you immediately have to throw the ball straight up in the air. I go, yeah.
Yep, exactly. As soon as you catch it, just launch it as high as you get in the air.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Maybe we got a post-softball cricket career, but we'll see it there. But Shailesy, having you on, we've been talking about it for a while. It's one of the best to ever play the game, still playing. Privileged to have you as a teammate and a buddy, and it's awesome to get you on here. I know our listeners are really going to appreciate getting a little bit of behind the curtain insight into who you are and what you've done, your approach. So really appreciate you coming on, and can't wait to do it again soon.
Thanks for having me, boys. It was a blast. Enjoyed every bit of it.
Awesome, Shailesy. Awesome stories, man. Awesome insights. Pleasure to have you.
And we'll take it out. We got Lucas, Nick, and I know, Shailesy, you listen to these guys a lot and love them. A little bit of Rum Ragged to take us out.
Ladies' man, but I'm unhappy now. For courting 6 girls all at once they used me.
Bye-bye baseball!
Me mother said it was naughty, I should kiss her goodbye. But I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very
And the lolly drops his glove, grabs Dalton. The benches are clearing.